One small step for man, one giant leap of terror. Welcome to I Be Suffer.
Where's the luck?
Yeah, no luck in this one.
Luck ran out.
Yeah, luck ran out in Vegas, remember?
Oh.
This is episode 113 of I Be Suffer. My name is Nathan.
I'm Kit.
Hello, I am Katie.
This week we are talking about Leprechaun 4 in Space from 1996 with returning guest not talking about a movie with demon in the title, Shayne Mathis.
Hello to the Podcasters 3. Thank you for inviting me onto your show. That was my Leprechaun. That was my Warwick Davis impersonation.
This podcast is over.
That's better than anything we've tried.
Yeah, I was about to say before the intro, I don't know how you go from Las Vegas to being like, well, the logical conclusion to this is go to space.
Like, I feel like you always have to go to space, but this seemed kind of early to me.
Las Vegas is basically an alien planet.
That's true.
I mean, that's true.
As somebody who has not been there since they were a kid, but was there a lot as a kid, it is a very strange place. I can't even imagine what it's like as an adult.
It sucks ass.
Yeah, is your mom still there?
Yeah, my sister and her family live there, and my mom lives there too. They live in Henderson, which is like a suburb of Las Vegas, but it sucks. Las Vegas sucks. It's like there's the Strip, and then everything else is just like strip malls and fast food and stuff.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
That sounds cool and not at all soul-sucking to me.
I went there when I was like in middle school. Maybe it was like 8th grade because my mom and my stepdad got married there, and it is like not really a place for children. We stayed in like the Excalibur, which was like really cool as a kid because it's like a big castle, but like most of it is casino and like you're not allowed to walk on it and people yell at you and stuff. So
yeah, we actually stayed the first time we went to Las Vegas on vacation. We stayed at Excalibur, and I mean, being I was 11 or something, so I thought it was cool because they have like the in-house medieval times thing with jousting and shit. But going now, it's just depressing.
Yeah, especially like, not naming any names, but I had some friends who have gone during quarantine, and I'm like, first of all, don't go a place, but if you are, why would you pick Vegas?
Yeah, come on, Angela.
It wasn't Angela. She doesn't listen to the podcast, though, because hearing my voice makes her sad.
Same.
Wow. Wow.
All right, so this episode brought to you by our Patreon supporter, somebody I don't know if any of us really know, Layla.
Oh, I think that guy's got cabbage on his head. Oh, I might take that cabbage off your head. Oh, he can't even hear a word I'm saying.
She...
Never heard that name.
Yeah.
No, mystery.
So, thank you to unknown person Layla, who is a cabbage head creature.
She has passed through the veil after having watched 31 Cats and Erotica, so R.I.P. Pour one out.
That's so much.
Yeah.
That is so much.
At least one of those movies is good, I assume, because I haven't seen Cats yet.
Cat whips.
I really doubt it.
Cat, How Did This Get Made did like a live virtual show on the movie Cats, and it looks crazy, and I want to see it.
It's the most watchable out of those three.
Oh, I imagine. They played a
I
was gonna say they played a clip during it that somebody made a what they assume the butthole cut looks like. And it looks crazy. It's pretty fucking funny because it seems like everything in that movie is just made to show off buttholes.
Oh yeah. Those cats are so horny.
It's just like having real cats.
Yeah.
I mean, essentially, they love just putting their bee right in your face.
I don't know. I feel like there's not enough love for Veronica. That
movie
maintain
sucks.
that is a good movie. It's hilarious. Watch it, everybody.
I mean, I feel like it might be different with like people, but watching it by yourself was rough.
I watched it by myself at like 1 a.m. and was laughing the entire time, except for the last vignette, which was like unbearably boring.
Oh
but
my god.
Every scene, every camera shot was like at least 30 seconds too long. It was like listening to Injustice for All.
It like we've talked about it the last episode, but like I'm extremely intrigued to see what he's going to do with one story that's going to be like an hour and a half long instead of 3 short ones.
I mean, it's going to be terrible.
Oh, it's going to be so bad.
It's going to be like, it's going to be like Devon Sawa doing like awkward sex scenes with a bunch of like vampire women.
I would watch that.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I mean, I would too, yeah.
If he doesn't have a gun that shoots wet spaghetti noodles.
Yeah, we'll get that in there.
That's all I want. Somebody needs to make a Western where they're just shooting pasta at each other now. Alright, so Leprechaun 4 in Space, directed by Brian Trenchard Smith, written by Dennis A. Pratt, starring Warwick Davis, Brent Jasmine, Jessica Collins, and Guy Senior, who was Mandel from the Doodle episode of Seinfeld.
Yes.
So
4 in a row.
the fucking weird ass dude
Going
in the
strong.
fucking cart in this movie was on
Dr.
Seinfeld.
Midhead.
Yeah. Alright, so Kit, Shane, and I have all seen this before. Katie, tell us about your first time watching Leprechaun in Space.
It was fine. I think that I actually liked 3 more than this one
How dare you?
because, like, you don't really get a lot of him doing antics because, like, he's in a spaceship. What can he really do? Like, I enjoyed the aspect of him having to deal with that, like, princess because he's, like, you know, of course he's got some lady that he's going to try and force to marry him, but then she's just like, okay, cool, and she turns out to be a piece of shit, and he's just like, oh my god. So, like, I enjoyed that part of it, but, like, I felt like he wasn't as playful as he normally is in the other ones. And
Yeah, it's just
there
horny in
wasn't,
this one.
yeah, and there wasn't really a lot of, like, tricks. So, but I mean, it was fine. It was totally watchable. Like, I would watch it again, if only for Dr. Fax Machine and Howard.
This is the best of the series, so it's all downhill from here. You are in for a treat for the next 3.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Especially Leprechaun Back to the Hood is especially hard to get through.
Yeah, I feel like this one just wasn't as, like, the story to me felt sort of, like, not as unique. It was just sort of just like, oh yeah, he's on a planet, whatever.
This
Yeah.
is
You know what I mean?
this is the #1 movie under the tag "woman getting pants ripped off."
That's hard to
Okay.
believe.
Like all of oh man, here's a bunch of the tags are bare breast, female frontal nudity, topless
Listen.
woman.
I was waiting for that because all aside from the first one, there's been just like a moment of boobs, and I was like, where is it? And the way that they incorporate it into this one, I was just like, okay, all right.
What do you think the #1 movie for lifting female in air is?
Showgirls.
Kit, I am very disappointed because I know this is a movie you've watched recently.
Is it?
Oh no, it's
Is
not Hard
it-
Target.
No. It's Friday the 13th, Part 2.
Okay, I was gonna say Friday the 13th, but just general. I don't know a specific. Oh, we've got Black Panties again.
Oh,
Or no, that was Black Bra before.
this is apparently a Star Wars spoof.
It's supposed to be.
Well, there's a lightsaber.
Oh, because the lightsaber.
Oh, I forgot about that.
I was gonna say it's like Aliens with a leprechaun because there's like the
Basically,
space marines and shit.
I can't believe this movie came out before Jason X.
Yeah, what is this? I think this is the first like in space movie where it was like established like an established franchise that went into space.
Oh.
What was
I don't
Hellraiser
know.
4?
Oh fuck
Same-
yeah, that's
same
right.
year.
Good. Oh, that came out in 19. Oh, well, I guess this came out in 9. Yeah, okay, maybe that makes sense. I saw Hellraiser 4 in the theater.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah, it fucking sucked.
Poor Adam Scott.
Ooh, I like this tag.
They-
Dying repeatedly.
On the podcast Adam Scott and Scott Aukerman do, like where it started as like U2 and then they do REM and I think they're on the Talking Heads now. Like he always introduces him. He's like the star of a lot of things you may have seen, but also Hellraiser 4. It's never like Parks and Rec or anything like that. It's always Hellraiser 4. Friday the 13th, #1 movie under Buxom.
That doesn't make any sense.
The remake of Friday the 13th, to be more specific.
All right, what do y'all think is #1 for obscene finger gesture?
Oh, I already looked it up.
Freddy got fingered.
Alright,
That's
well.
my guess on all of them.
No.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. That's a weird one.
Yeah,
Makes
that's
sense.
another one where all of them are like kind of newer movies. So
What
independent film.
do you think under metal?
RoboCop.
Death Machine.
What you got, Katie?
I don't know anything about metal.
It's Black Panther.
Oh.
And then
What?
And then Edward Scissorhands, and then 3 ninjas.
All right.
What a
That makes
triple
sense.
feature
That
right
checks
there.
out.
All right, Katie, tell us about Leprechaun in Space.
Okay. Well, guess what, guys? It starts in space. The
Wasting
CG.
no time.
No, just hops right in there with some asteroids and a spaceship. The CG is not great.
Yeah, it
pretty
looks
bad.
like shit. It looks like a Wing Commander game.
The spaceship looks so bad. I love it so much.
Yeah.
It
I
might as. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, yeah, no, it looks terrible. It looks like it was rendered in like Windows 95, and then when they're on the planet at the beginning, it looks like a shitty like one of those like FMV cutscenes from a first generation PlayStation game.
Like Sega CD game.
Yeah, it's like I think every dime of this movie's budget went into paying Warwick Davis, and then the mitten spider at the end.
100%.
Yeah. Yes. That's like you could really tell that's where they spent all their money. Okay, so there's a lot of soldiers in this, and I kept getting their names all mixed up because like they're credited as one thing on IMDb, but then sometimes they call each other by like a first or last name, so just like bear with me. They're soldiers. And their lieutenant sergeant guy has half of a metal head.
As you do.
You know, just real cash,
These
because
things
they're in the
happen.
future, so, you know, you can tell.
He lost that part of his head in Full Metal Jacket.
That's right. And they are going to this planet because they're on a mission to search and destroy this creature that is stopping them from doing galactic mining, ? I assume. Dr. Reeves, who is like one of the main characters, who is Jessica Collins, shows up, and the sergeant, of course, is just like pissed and yelling at her for no reason, and she's like, bro, like, I need to collect specimens from this creature. We're gonna like figure this shit out, right? And so Dr. Mittenhand, which is a strange name, like, I guess is the one that's like has hired them to like do this expedition or whatever. And he's essentially just like, hey, she's my like assistant, just listen to her, stop being a bitch. And they're like, okay. So they suit up, and like her and this other soldier, Books. Wow. Books are like immediately having a moment and like making eyes at each other. And yeah. So then we see we're like inside the cave, and we've got like a slave Princess Leia situation going on, and the Leprechaun shows up. I do appreciate that like every time he shows up, he's got some kind of like iconic look, because in this one he shows up wearing a tux, and he's got like a cigarette in a cigarette holder, just like really fancy.
He's very classy.
He really is. He's like she's a princess, okay? He's like putting in the work right now. He's like whining and dining her. He like magics a candlelit dinner, and meanwhile, like the soldiers and Dr. Reeves are like getting ready to touch down on the planet, and the sergeant like makes this prayer that's essentially like, let us beat the shit out of this thing and only have flesh wounds. Thank you, Jesus.
Yeah, that was so fucking weird. Like, why were they praying?
I think they also have some back and forth about like specifics about the sergeant and like why his head is fucked up or whatever, but who cares? So Princess Zarina, I just called her Princess the whole time, is like chained up, and he's like, come over, have dinner with me. Like, listen, I want to be king. You don't have any money, so like, why don't you marry me and I'll be king and I'll give you money? And she's trash, like, and she's really into it. She's like, okay, yes, I will. So now the soldiers are on the planet. They send in a soldier named Lucky to like look around, and this is like the only, aside from Dr. Mitten Spider, spoiler later, this is like the only creature we really see. Yeah, it's like this little hairy goopy alien thing that's just like, and then Lucky shoots it, and so it like alerts the Leprechaun to the fact that they're here. So they're all like exploring the caves and stuff. Lucky sees the table of the Leprechaun's gold and starts immediately stealing shit. And the Leprechaun, this is when the Leprechaun like turns his, so in this one he's ditched his shillelagh. He has a cane that has like a blade at the end, and he turns it into a green lightsaber. A Blaine. David Blaine. David Blaine pops out and does that for him.
God, that would be a perfect movie.
He turns it into a lightsaber and just, lightsabers his legs off, and then steals his gun and like hides again. So he's dead. Goodbye, Lucky.
Any character named Lucky in a movie is pretty much fucked. They're just gonna die.
Yeah.
They have to die.
Yeah, essentially.
It's such a cheap joke.
Right, because we're watching Leprechaun. In case you guys didn't get it. So they're in a gunfight with the Leprechaun. At this point, I was having a hard time like keeping people's names and who they were straight. So I don't know. Somebody throws a bomb over there, and it's gonna like explode the princess or whatever. So the Leprechaun jumps on top of it to like save her, which was actually pretty sweet. Because at this point, he likes her still. So she gets knocked out. Also, her hand flies off for some reason. The Leprechaun's exploded at this point. And the sergeant is like, okay, let's get all this gold. Like, let's go back to the ship. And I think his name is Kowalski, is the one, he like pees on the Leprechaun's like wait, what's the word?
Dismembered.
Yes, dismembered leg.
Dismantled works too.
I don't know.
Dismantled them.
Yeah, I don't know what. There's a lot of words for your leg is off your body, so I just couldn't pick one.
Your leg is off your body.
Yes. Then there's like, so he's peeing on the leg, and there's like this like magic that happens, right? We don't know. And then they're starting to leave, and we get a zoom in at the leprechaun's head, and he's alive, and he's like looking cheeky, right? So they're like back at the medical bay. The princess is like knocked out still, and Reeves and Books have one of their many arguments. You know, they've got this whole thing where they're like kind of into each other, but she's really smart and thinks that he's stupid, and he's like resentful because thinks he's smart. I don't know. It's stupid. I don't know what this note is. So we meet Harold. Oh, lab guy. I thought it said cab guy, and I was like, there's no cabs in space.
Yeah, Space Cab.
Space cab.
It is
Harold.
Johnny Cab from Total Recall.
Oh,
Very
shit.
upsetting.
Or the Fifth Element.
Bruce Willis just shows up.
Get that multipass, man. Harold, who is this like Weasley little lab guy, essentially, like has this device, and he is shrinking the leprechaun's gold so that it can store it better, I guess. And Mitten Hand is like arguing with the sergeant because the sergeant's like, hey, like our like
Is this the thing
contract
with our
is
contract?
up.
Yeah.
Our contract is up, like we're gonna leave. And he's like, listen, you need to stay because the miners are gonna come, and like I'll give you more money if you stay or whatever. And they just are arguing with each other. So now we're having a weird party. The soldiers are like listening to music, and the only female soldier, Dolores, and Kowalski are like dancing, and they go off to like do it. The rest of the soldiers are like really gross about it. And does anyone else want to describe this situation that happens? I know that this is Nathan's favorite part.
This is like the best scene in the series, I believe, in the franchise.
Yes, this is when people describe the term cinema, they are describing.
This is the finest moment in cinema history.
Yes.
Really.
Yeah, this is what Pauline Kael was talking about when she wrote about pure cinema.
Yes.
Martin Scorsese. This is what he meant.
Yeah, this is why he doesn't like Marvel movies, because he's seen Leprechaun 4.
That's right.
So these two soldiers whose names I am never going to remember are out there.
Dolores and Kowalski.
So I'm assuming
Scooter and Lisa.
Scooter is getting sort of a hand job from Lisa. And he's like, oh, ow, that hurts. Like, take it easy. And she's like, I'm not doing anything.
What, are you trying to take it home with you?
Yeah. And, like, he eventually starts, like, howling in pain and just, like, falls down and, like, you know, falls in, like, this sitting position against the wall. As you see,
She goes, what the hell's going on in there?
The crotch of his pants start bulging around, and the leprechaun just bursts out of his dick and out of his pants.
He goes flying across the room too. Like, he doesn't just climb out; he like explodes out of his dick.
It rules too, because you
style.
can see like the string he's hanging from.
Yeah.
Like, they don't even bother trying to like take it out of it. You can just blatantly see him go flying across the room on like a fucking wire.
I mean,
Yeah,
did you
he's
see
got
what
his
just
hat
happened?
on too.
Ow, yeah. Not great. Then the leprechaun like does a Clint Eastwood impression, I assume.
Of course he does.
Talks
to a chair.
Yes. Then Dolores is like, wow, yikes, and runs, and there's like whatever. I really loved this scene when they were in their like future lounge having their party, because they had these like plastic bubble cups they were using that they were trying to make look like futuristic, but they were literally just like from the dollar store. I loved it.
I love movies in the 90s that like pretend like the future is just gonna be like flashing bright lights and that's it. That's all you need.
Yeah, and like yeah, right.
Like, why is there a dance club on that ship?
Gotta,
Because
like,
I mean, that's what it is. There's like a dance floor and shit.
gotta cut loose sometime.
Oh,
I mean,
You could either have a dance floor or you could have a hollow deck. Which would you pick?
holodeck. I mean, clearly that's the right answer.
Because you could just make the hollow deck be a dance floor.
that's right?
There it
Yeah,
Like,
it could be
not
anything.
the other way around, but
You could fuck an alien.
On a
real
dance floor?
oyster.
On the dance floor.
No, in the holodeck. Yeah.
I was gonna make a blood on the dance floor joke, but anyway. So, yeah. All right, plastic cups. There's like another scene of books and Reeves arguing and flirting or whatever. The Leprechaun and Dolores kind of like fight around the ship or whatever. She runs into the dance hall and is like, "Hey, he's alive!" And then we like switch over to Harold, who is in the medical deck, like touching the princess inappropriately. She's like sort of waking up, and Mitten Hand shows up and is just like, "Hey, stop! Like, I know what you're trying to do." And he's like, "I wasn't doing nothing." We did get a thing from Reeves saying like, "Oh, it's so unfortunate we couldn't save her hand because there was damage, but we do see now that her hand has grown back." And so Dr. Mitten is basically just like, "Hey, don't tell anyone that we grew this lady's hand, okay?" So like, I do feel like, I know I said the plot was kind of like whatever, but this is the first one that I feel like there's actually a bigger subplot to it. So I guess maybe I take that back. Because you have this like whole subplot of Dr. Mittenhand doing like biology stuff that you don't really have in any of them so far.
Literally the like least like fascinating thing in this movie is the science stuff. Even though it's by a dude who's like half a body in a scooter full of like liquids
cool,
and shit.
Yeah. So for some reason they decide that they're gonna go into the waste area of the ship to like look for the Leprechaun. And so Mooch and Books put on hazmat suits and like go in there to this like area where they put all the bio waste and stuff, which is gross. Books gets gooped on, and the Leprechaun, hate to see it.
Getting gooped.
The Leprechaun also has a biohazard suit on, which I thought was pretty funny. He slices Mooch's suit open, and a skeleton happens to him. He becomes a skeleton.
I wish
what
it
a
had
weird
been
way to phrase
like
that.
the movie.
Well, what I wrote was Leprechaun slices Mooch's suit open and skeleton. So
What were you saying, Kit?
I wish it had been like the Mooch, like Scaramucci
Scaramucci.
from the
Should just remake this movie
well,
with him. He's not doing anything else right
He's
now.
every character.
Anthony Scaramucci starring in Leprechaun 4.
It would be.
even more in space.
You know how awesome it would be if somebody decided to remake a movie, but instead of remaking like the first movie, they just jump straight to like Leprechaun in Space or some shit.
It should happen more often, I think.
I'm rebooting the series,
I
but we're
think so,
starting
too.
with 5.
Yeah, why not? You definitely could, because these aren't like connected at all. So who cares?
I saw
Yeah.
there's like a new apparently they're redoing Texas Chainsaw Massacre again,
Yeah, I saw that.
and I
Why
just like fucking fuck that, spend the money, get Matthew McConaughey and Renee Zellweger back, and just continue Next
remake
Generation.
4.
Yeah.
Take it to space.
Oh shit, Leatherface in
Oh,
space.
I feel like we've really been cheated by not having a Texas Chainsaw Massacre in space movie.
I desperately need a Texas Space Saw Massacre.
Yeah. Yeah, like Leatherface could have a laser chainsaw.
That would be like,
Cool so hard.
I guess like Freddy Krueger never really went to space, but like
Why not?
I feel like Freddy Krueger could do.
You don't dream in space.
I think you do.
I was gonna say
No,
that one seems
that's
too
not for them.
obvious. Like Leatherface would be perfect. I feel like if they continue making Halloween movies, Michael Myers has to make it there.
I mean, how do you not?
Have they done Tremors in Space yet?
No.
Well, they should.
Isn't that Dune?
I guess. Yeah, I guess.
I don't know. That's
Yeah,
like a really
essentially.
that's really esoteric joke.
What happened? Skeleton. So, the leprechaun in this movie doesn't even realize, I guess, that they stole his gold, ? And he's just wants the princess. So, the whole soldiers and the sergeant go to talk to Mitten Hand about, like, how there's a leprechaun running around killing people. And he's like, hey, don't give him the princess. I'm doing science here. Like, just kill the leprechaun. And the sergeant's, like, pissed off about it because, like, the leprechaun's killing people, right? And he keeps bringing up this, like, contract thing. Who cares? And, then this is when they finally, like, go in there to see Mitten Hand, and he's like, yeah, like a head. He's like a person's head and one arm stapled to a fax machine robot situation. Like, I don't know how else.
With his heart in like a glass tube.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which is pretty sick, honestly.
that they show pulsating every now and then. And Mitten Hand is essentially just like, do what I say or die. Like, I don't know what else you expect. And the sergeant basically, like, negotiates, like, I don't know how much it was, but for a bonus for all of them to, like, stay on the ship and for 2% of the company. Which seems pretty lucrative, if you ask me. Because they can, you know, genetically make bodies. So, seems like a good idea.
Yeah, but if movies have taught me anything,
It's not. It never is.
That company is not going to stay running very long unless you're Wayland Yutani.
Well, especially if there's a leprechaun running around. So then, like, we get a thing about the leprechaun that's essentially just like, hey, I actually don't want to share my gold with this lady, so I'm just gonna marry her and do the deed, and then I'm just gonna kill her. Like, why not? So...
Nothing's better than a horny leprechaun.
I mean, yeah. This is really... He didn't really get much in the last one, you know, so... It's been a whole movie before he could have another wife.
Can that be a shirt? Can we make nothing's better than a horny leprechaun? Be a shirt.
1,000,000%. Jumping out of somebody's dick.
That's
the shorts, not a shirt.
Yeah. Instead of like booty shorts, it's just on the crotch.
Wow.
Get drawn, Katie.
Oh my god, no. Kid has to take the ones that deal with boners and stuff.
Resident boner artist.
Get to work. So, like, essentially we're just getting scenes of, like, the soldiers going around looking for the leprechaun. Harold and Mitten Hand do some science together, and essentially this is when we find out he can just, like, regrow things with DNA. He regrows his finger. Dolores, oh my god, okay. So then we get this scene about Dolores is telling the sergeant that she feels guilty about Kowalski's death because she was the one that gave him the boner, and he says he was a Marine. He would have wanted it that way or something like that. And I was like,
That checks
and
out.
he was like,
That's
yeah.
how I want to go out.
I mean,
Leprechaun boner.
and then he says something like, when I go out, I want to be standing tall or something like that, and she gives him eyes, and I was like, gross. Ew.
Sorry to interrupt. Have we mentioned that Dolores, the actress that plays Dolores, is Heidi, the tool girl from Home Improvement?
Oh no.
Oh my god, really?
Yeah. Here's a fun fact. When I watched Leprechaun 4 when it came out as a sequel, it was because I thought it might show her boobs.
All right.
I mean, the only reason I rented Chasing Amy to begin with when I was a teenager was because I thought there was going to be nudity in it, and I was very disappointed.
Yeah, and this came out like when Home Improvement was on the air, so like she was in this at the height of the series' popularity.
That's
I hope she
crazy.
thought this was going to be like her breakout role, like getting her foot in the door.
Oh, probably. I guarantee it. Well, I don't know. I feel like everybody getting involved into this movie had a good idea of what they were doing because it was going straight to video.
I mean, especially by the fourth one. Boners. Leprechaun. The Leprechaun now is like in the same room with Books and Reeves, and the Leprechaun like magics some handcuffs onto Books, and like handcuffs him to a shelf, and there's like the struggle between them because he's like doing fire magic at them, and they're like shooting back at him. And there's like a beam that falls in front of the Leprechaun. It's like on fire, and somehow they break out of the handcuffs and they escape. Meanwhile, Styx and Danny encounter the Leprechaun, and Danny like runs away because he's essentially just like, hey, we don't care about Mittenhand. Like, why don't we just hide and then we'll just still get the money? And Styx is like, you are a dirtbag. So Danny runs, and the Leprechaun comes. This part was really strange to me. So he's like in some kind of like industrial area, and the Leprechaun comes onto a monitor and is like talking about workplace safety or something while cutting his fingers off with a scissor. And I was like, I don't know why this is happening, but he's like cutting his fingers off.
I think it's supposed to be the same kind of like idea as in 3 when he like comes on the TV is doing the infomercials.
Oh, okay. All right, yeah. So he's cutting his fingers off, and he's like gooping, and he's singing "Oh Danny Boy," and he like lights his fingers on fire. And the Leprechaun's like, "Hey, why don't we just be partners?" And Danny's like, "Okay, cool. Like, why don't you come out?" And Leprechaun's like, "No, you come out." So Danny starts coming out. Oh wait, okay. The Leprechaun cuts his fingers off because he's like, "Hey, Danny, come out. I'm behind these pipes." But it's just like his fingers tapping on the pipe, but the Leprechaun's like actually hiding behind Danny, which like I don't really understand why he needed to do that, because then he just like magicked a big like crate to fall and crush him. So I don't know why he had to do that magic, but whatever.
Sometimes you just gotta be magic.
I mean, I guess if you can, why not? Like, then we get a scene of Dolores encountering the Leprechaun on a catwalk, and she like machine guns him and he explodes. But then he reforms again and like pushes her off. There's like a whole thing with that, but she's dead now. Then Harold is like back in the medical bay, and he looks out the screen, and it's like, quote unquote, Dr. Reeves, and she's just like, "Oh, she like shows up and she's just like naked, and she's like, "Hey, let me in, I need help." But like, obviously we know at this point it's the Leprechaun. And
I was shocked. I thought it was actually her.
Yeah, it just to drive the point home for viewers, like the actress looks at the camera and is like, "I'm the Leprechaun."
like essentially, yeah.
God, what a perfect
the Leprechaun
movie.
The Leprechaun uses his cane to like hit that guy in the nuts. And finally, this is where the Leprechaun and Mittenhand come face to face. Mittenhand, who is truly horrific looking, like laughs at the Leprechaun and is like, "Ha, you look ridiculous." And they talk a little bit. And Mittenhand is like pretending to be friends with them because Harold is like sneaking up behind him with the cane knife. And he stabs him in the back, but somehow in this movie he's like almost completely invincible, because like he blows up a lot of times but does not die. And then something crazy happens. So basically, the leprechaun like magics Harold up against the wall, and then throws a pan at his face, and it literally flattens his entire
Oh,
head.
I love it so much.
Yeah, this scene's amazing.
It's like one of the only good effects in the movie.
Yeah, he looks like a fuck. What are those things? How can I not remember? Garbage Pail Kid.
I was
Yeah.
gonna ask if you meant Garbage Pail Kid.
Yeah,
Flathead
I
Freddy
did.
or some shit.
Like, essentially, it's insane. In case you were missing the body horror from the last one.
There's a grocery store that just opened near where Caitlin and I live that has a vending machine of trading cards, and they have Garbage Pail Kids cards in there.
Holy
Oh my
shit.
god.
Those I feel like I feel like that as a thing has like made a comeback, because I've seen a lot of people do like updated, like more modern horror icon spoofs of it. So I feel like that's sort of like making a comeback.
Yeah.
So the princess finally wakes up and essentially tells the leprechaun that Dr. Mittenhand is gross and he should kill him. And Dr. Mittenhand now has a ball gag in his mouth for some reason.
Why not?
I mean,
Horny leprechauns.
that's true. That is true. So the leprechaun decides that he's going to take Dr. Mittenhand's DNA and blend it up with a tarantula and also a scorpion, and then injects the mix into his head.
You know what the next Katie Snack
Oof.
Corner video is?
Blended up tarantula scorpion.
Yeah, and a bottle of DNA.
Okay, someone. No, nobody send me DNA. No, thank you. Shootout. There's another shootout that happens. Okay. So the soldiers like show up to the princess and the leprechaun, and there's like a shootout, and this is when we see. Okay, so this is the boobs. So the princess is essentially just like, "Who do you think you are? How dare you?" And they're like, what?" And she just like, meanwhile, she's distracting them. The leprechaun turns all of the sergeants' weapons into like bombs and sticks of dynamite and stuff. The princess like is like, gaze upon me, and like unclips her top, and it's just like, haha, you are doomed now. Like, what? And then I think it's like Styx kind of makes a joke about it, and then Dr. Reeves is like, I don't think it's funny if a royal Dominican, or what was it?
Dominion,
Whatever.
maybe? Something like that.
It was something like that. Shows you her boobs, it's a death sentence. And I was like, okay, right, sure. They just had to just sneak it in there, you know?
Sometimes you just gotta.
I mean, so the sergeant and so essentially the leprechaun's like, leave us alone, we're taking the sergeant as our hostage. And those two and the princess leave. This is when we see that the human part of Dr. Mittenhand is completely gone. It's just like the fax machine part of it. This is like when the princess is like telling the leprechaun that she needs to like kill everyone because they're lame and whatever, and the leprechaun's just like done with her shit at this point. So the rest of the soldiers like are chasing after them, and they come back into the dance club, and the sergeant is just like wearing a dress and makeup, and he's like singing to them but also fighting them at the same time.
Yeah, pretty much.
He's like having like a weird like split personality part where he's like arguing with himself also, and like meanwhile the princess and the leprechaun are watching this, and the princess mentions that like, hey, by the way, they have your gold, and the leprechaun's like, what? They have my gold? What the heck? So finally finally we get back to the gold. So they're gonna go get the gold. Then, you know, the sergeant is like doing nunchucks and fighting. Reeves finally is just like, I have a black belt, and like fights the sergeant.
Not enough movies with nunchucks in them.
Agreed.
Yeah,
I mean,
same.
Yeah.
Definitely not enough with gopher chucks.
That's
You only need
definitely
one.
true. I love that movie so much. So this is when Dr. Mittenhand wakes up and is super gross looking. Does anyone want to try to describe like what is going on with him?
Is this when he's like slowly kind of morphing into a spider?
Yeah, he calls himself Mitten Spider.
The mitten spider.
Yeah, it's like the fly. He's like the Brundle fly, but he's the mitten
It
spider.
looks pretty much exactly the same.
He's like red and bumpy. He's got like one eye that's like a regular eye and like one eye that's like a
Like cool
fly
LED
eyes.
fly eye.
Yeah, he's got like 10 like fly legs sticking out the side of his head, and he's like freaking huge also, and goopy and hairy. And yeah, he's Mitten Spider. Oh yeah, we also forgot
Goopy
to
and
mention,
hairy is such a bad combination.
right?
Extremely unfortunate.
He's got some kind of accent this whole time. I guess we didn't mention his accent. Eventually the sergeant, they're like fighting. He's like electrocuted somehow. I wasn't really paying attention, but they find out that he's like literally just a cyborg, and I wrote, "Oh my god, his face." After he gets electrocuted, he's just like, I don't really know how to describe his face. It just looks very weird.
I found an auction site that's selling a prosthetic of his hand from the scene when they're doing the blender shit.
What?
This is the right arm of Dr. Mitten. What? Yeah, it's the hand after it was sprayed with like the liquid nitrogen.
Oh.
Can we put the Patreon money towards that?
Yeah, nobody bought it, so
How much is it?
I don't know. It's just like a bidding thing.
$30.
I'm gonna bid $3. See what happens.
Oh my
Probably
god.
win it.
Holy crap. Mitten Spider, electrocution. This is when the Leprechaun hits the self-destruct button on the ship, and Leprechaun, and we just get a lot of scenes of like the Leprechaun and the princess arguing back and forth. I wrote a note that I don't put FF on ship. I don't know what that means.
Fantastic Four?
Follow Friday.
Foo Fighters.
Yeah.
I always like write
Dave
the note and
Grohl.
I'm like, of course I'll know what this means.
Yeah, I do that all the time. Where I'll do it, but then I'm like, especially if I watch it like a couple days in advance instead of right before.
Oh, actually, I remember he put a force field around the ship
Ah,
so
ha.
people couldn't get on it.
There you go.
I was gonna say 50 firefighters.
It looks like only one of us actually watched the movie.
I had to
Yes.
watch 3 Jean-Claude Van Damme movies and this in the last 24 hours, so my brain is melted.
I did too. I watched 2 of them yesterday and 2 of them today. I don't know. This one felt
including a second Alien Uprising.
just. Oh my god. Yeah.
Katie ended up watching the wrong Alien Uprising first.
All the way through.
I sure did. I sure did. If you are a member of our Patreon, you could go over and listen to that episode next week and hear what happened. Jeez. So yes. So there's like one ship that they can escape on. The alien. Oh my god. The Leprechaun has put a force field around it so that no one else can take it. There we go. If Shayne wasn't here, we would never have known what I was talking
I'm
about.
pretty sure it's still
Forever a
50
mystery.
50 firefighters.
That's probably the closest. Flamin' fajitas. That's what I want on my spaceship.
Sounds good.
So
Carrots. All right, I'm
feisty
done.
carrots.
Yeah.
Oh. Yes.
50 Furbies.
No, that's gonna be a no from me, Gov. Okay, so meanwhile, the only people that are alive are Books, Reeves, and Styx. And who Styx is the best character, so I'm glad he's still with us. Styx, meanwhile, like, goes to the controls of the ship to try and, like, stop it from self-detonating or whatever, and this is when he encounters Mitten Spider. Meanwhile, the Leprechaun is, like, pissed that the gold has been shrunk, and he's also pissed because the princess is, like, nagging him, so he makes the princess think that she looks super gross, and then he knocks her out. Because she's basically just like, I can have anyone I want, I'm gorgeous, and the Leprechaun's like, you are gross, and then just knocks her out. Books and Reeves are, like, fighting the Leprechaun while he is trying to, like, get his gold. While he like is trying to pick up his, like, little gold pieces, and Reeves comes up behind him and takes a shot at him, but her gun is empty, and he sees her, and they, like, I don't know, he, like, jumps up on this platform, and she realizes that it's, like, the shrink ray. She turns it on, and instead of shrinking him, he gets very big, which actually looked pretty good.
Does
Like,
it?
Compared to most of the other CG aspects
Yeah.
of this, I think so. The Leprechaun's stoked. He's like, whoa, I'm huge. Meanwhile, Reeves is like, I'm gonna go help Styx, like, try and figure out the password to stop the ship from self-destructing, and Books is gonna stay there and, like, try and fight the Leprechaun.
I feel like we skipped over the part where he turns huge and immediately looks at his dick and is like,
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I missed that. That makes sense, though. Reeves is, like, going through the air vents, and the doctor, I guess, is, like, in there too, and just, like, rips her clothes off for no reason.
Well, there's a reason.
I mean, there's not.
It was a horror
but
movie in the 90s.
she basically, like, gets to the control room, and Styx is like, hey, there's a big ugly motherfucking spider, go back. And she goes, what's happening? And I'm like, did you not just listen to what this man said? A big ugly motherfucking spider. Like, Jesus Christ. Then so Reeves and, like, Dr. Mitten Spider, like, struggle. He's, like, slashing her legs open and shit. And eventually she gets to this, like, what I assume is a big container of compressed air, and she, like, freeze dries him or something, and then shoots him, and he explodes.
R.I.P.
Pour one out for a real one.
Yeah. Let's see you at the crossroads. Books saves the princess, and is essentially, like, calls up to the cabin and is like, hey, open the cargo bay door. And Reeves is like, are you sure? And he's like, yeah, don't worry. So they, like, go back, they, like, go into another room. The cargo bay door opens, and the Leprechaun essentially just gets sucked into space and explodes. And the princess watches, and she's pretty stoked on it. She thinks it's pretty cool. So then, after that, Books runs to the, controls to try and help them figure out the password. And eventually, they're, like, trying to remember things about Dr. Mittenhouse to, like, figure out what the password is. And they're like, maybe it's genius, whatever. And then they figure out that the password is wizard. And they type it in, and it's, like, in Comic Sans on the screen. And they did it. And, Books and Reeves make out finally. And then we see, like, the Leprechaun's severed parts just, like, floating around in space. And we see his hand, and it just flicks them off. And that's the end.
Off he drifts, waiting for another dick to explode out of.
Waiting to
Yeah.
land in the hood.
Yeah.
It's wild
Well,
to
I
think
assume
that
his.
he went from Las Vegas to space and then the
To
hood.
the hood.
Well, I mean, it makes sense because, like, well, I don't know how he got on that planet. Maybe a tree, right? But
Well,
like,
this is far in the future, so like, who knows what his adventures have been like.
well, I just imagine he like crashes, like a part of him comes down to Earth like a meteor, and just lands there.
It's just like color
Well,
out of space and he just takes over the whole area.
Yeah.
Everything turns green.
I feel like really the timeline of the Leprechaun franchise is like the timeline of Fast and the Furious, where it's kind of messed up, like, because clearly 4 is in the future, and then like Leprechaun in the Hood is a really a prequel, because I guess I don't fucking know.
I like to just assume it's all linear. He's just bombing around everywhere.
He exists outside time and space, obviously.
Yeah, he's like 2,000 years old and 2. So,
But he was
Yeah.
weirdly he was like 600 years old and 1 though.
Well, so like in the beginning of 2, he turns 1,000, right? And he has to like wait till his 2000th birthday to like try and get that girl to marry him or something. So who knows?
which none of it.
It rules that like. Oh,
I was gonna say none of it even matters because then you get to Leprechaun Returns and all of it's just like retconned anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, it rules that like nobody at any point clearly like no one gave a shit about plot continuity. There's like, fuck it, it's a movie about a leprechaun.
Well, like we talked about it on I think episode like the Leprechaun 2, they originally tried to make it like a like they tried to get Jennifer Aniston back, and it was supposed to follow the events of that, and then they had like a plan where they were going to do 2 and 3 at the same time. So all of that would have been like a continuous story, but then I think once Jennifer Aniston, you know, for some reason decided to go do Friends instead of Leprechaun 2.
Yeah, what career suicide.
Yeah, like it just kind of they just started making him be like whatever.
I really wish 3 had been the like court case one, so he had gone from a legal battle to space.
Dude,
To
so
space,
awesome.
yeah. He was just like, I don't forget this. The Earth court sucks. I'm going to space.
Fuck getting sued, I'm going to space.
So that was Leprechaun 4 in space.
Everybody watch this movie because it rules, and then
What a great movie.
get prepared to be slightly let down by
A
the next
defining
one
moment
and
in cinema.
be extremely let down by number 6, and then
Uh-oh.
number 7's gonna make everybody want to kill themselves because it is.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I watched part of 7 last year when I was like in Los Angeles for work, and I was in my hotel room at night. There's like nothing to do, and I didn't have a car, and I think it was on Sci-Fi, and I didn't realize it was a Leprechaun sequel until like 3/4 of the way through, and I thought I dreamed it too because I like fell asleep during it. It was just like, is there really like a weird Leprechaun movie where he's like a monster, and I don't know.
Yeah,
it's terrible.
It's real bad, and like it's just like has no tie to anything other than like WWE got the rights to the name Leprechaun for like a brief period. And like they even to the point that they put Hornswoggle as the Leprechaun, and then it's just like in a monster suit. It's very, very weird choice.
Yeah, you can't even tell it's him.
Yeah.
It's just a guy in a monster suit. I haven't seen the only one I haven't seen is the one that's a direct sequel to Leprechaun,
Yeah.
where the main character is like Jennifer Aniston's daughter or whatever.
It's good. It's like it's kind of weird because like it's not Warwick Davis, but I like it. Same guy that directed Manborg, so
Yeah,
Can't
but
be
in.
bad.
man, I watched all of these in 1 week, like a month ago. Like every night, I would watch a Leprechaun movie. Oh man,
I
What a
did that
trip.
with the Star Wars like earlier this year, and I have to say I'm glad I'm watching one a week and not one every day. It's a lot.
Leprechaun's a way better movie series than Star Wars, though.
100%.
Well,
Yeah, it's more even.
That's true, at least.
I like the #1 user review is exquisite. Leprechaun 4 is that rare film that takes you to a place you never knew existed.
Yeah, space.
All right, so there's no weekly world news update this week because they haven't updated since they said news was going to end, so...
That was their way of being like, we're not doing this anymore.
I'm done. Shit.
I think their Kickstarter ends like today or tomorrow, so I'm sure they're just focused on that right now. So, Katie, was there any actual real world news?
Not really.
Other than Texas Chainsaw Massacre getting its like 7th reboot?
Yeah, we have that. We have like the Dexter, which we mentioned, reboot or whatever. So, like, there's nothing really. No news. Kit got his wish.
Yes.
Thank God.
Finally.
All right. Did you guys watch anything good this week? Even though it's been like 3 days since we recorded last time.
I know, right?
I watched Hard Target.
Yeah, I was gonna say I watched a bunch of Jean-Claude Van Damme movies. Have you watched anything good, Shayne?
I watched. It's on Netflix. I don't know. I don't know if it's just called Alive or like #Alive. I don't know. It's like a Korean zombie movie that came out recently that was pretty good. I don't know, Nathan. I know that you hate fast zombies, and it's fast zombies, but I found it entertaining. I'm trying to think what else have I even watched? Just like a bunch of dumb shit. I tried. Tubi has a whole bunch of like shitty like Joe D'Amato like garbage horror movies. So I stayed up. I fell asleep because it is like extremely. It turns out it's extremely boring. But I stayed up watching. I think it's called like Dream Maniac or something. I don't know. It's like it looks like when you start it, it looks like it's just a low quality rip of a VHS tape. But I don't know. It's about this like heavy metal singer that haunts people in their dreams. It's like a Nightmare on Elm Street ripoff, but it's also like just insanely boring. So I stopped watching it.
I feel like a lot of his stuff is like because like one of my favorite movies, like of like a bad horror movie, is Erotic Nights of the Living Dead, and it's extremely boring except for the scenes where like where it's just legitimate porn. Because it's like it's like actual people fucking, and then just like weird zombie scenes on an island, but barely. Because that's like, it's almost like the zombies look very like Knights Templar zombies, and they're like just kind of boring. But it's just like this weird, fascinating thing of like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of his movies are like that, where it's like extremely boring and just interspersed with like a couple minutes of something you're like, oh, this sucks me back in, and then like 20 more minutes of like nothing.
Yeah, it's because all his he's infamous for doing this, but a lot of the like Italian guys did this, where they would take other movies that were like their copyrights didn't apply to Italy or whatever, and just edit them together. Yeah, that Erotic Nights of the Living Dead, I think that's like 3 different movies edited together or something. It's like Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, but for like zombies and porn. Zombies and porn.
Wow.
What a sentence that is.
It's pretty awesome.
I had trouble getting it out.
He did one of the Emmanuel movies too, I believe. That's also like I think the cannibal one, maybe.
It's the cannibal one. We're like, Emmanuel fucks a bunch of cannibals.
Yeah. What a legend. Him and Jess Franco.
Oh god! Well, at least Jess Franco's movies, they're garbage, but they're like artsy garbage.
They're like visually appealing at least.
Yeah, they're not completely incompetent.
All right. Shout outs. Katie, go.
Well, this isn't my shout out, but I didn't say what I had been watching.
Oh, I thought you and Kit both said nothing except for like the stuff we did for the podcast.
No, I said no news. I watched Tremors Shrieker Island, which is
God.
now streaming on Netflix.
How bad is it?
It's actually just aggressively fine.
Is it in space?
Like, no, it's on an island.
Well, you could have an
Islands
island.
go
What
in
do you think
space.
planets are?
No. So, like, essentially the movie is kind of like, it's kind of like they watched a bunch of movies and then made a movie about Tremors, because it's like very Jurassic World, where like they created and bred tremors. So the tremors are all like, or the graboids are like all crazy looking now. Like, they're not great looking, but the movie itself is like completely just like a normal fine movie. Like, there are some funny things in it though. Like, obviously, what's his name? Bert is back in it. He's like the only recurring character. And there's like this documentary that we see inside the movie about him that he's like narrating about the graboids, which is pretty funny. Also, he eats a grub, which is kind of gross. But it's just like totally fine. Like, if you, I feel like it's definitely better than some of the other sequels. So like, if you are into Tremors, it's like worth a watch. It's free. You know what I mean? I definitely wouldn't pay for it. I feel bad for people who had already rented it, but it's definitely worth watching just for that. And I watched the Worst Witch 80s Halloween special.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
that
I
was
remember that.
something that like after we got done with the Girl That's Scary episode, I was like, the worst witch.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that too, but then I found the special is on YouTube to watch, so I watched that, and it's just like nostalgia bomb. And then also the new season of Unsolved Mysteries started, so I've been watching that somehow. Go ahead.
Is there at least anything fun in it as opposed to just bad true crime stories this season?
I'm not far enough to answer that question. And then I also watched for my Patreon article reviewing Shudder originals, I watched the Mortuary Collection, which is great, and you should watch it because of
There's a
Mortuary
Mortuary
Boner.
Because it's a
Wiener, that's
mortuary
right.
wiener.
So it stars Clancy Brown, who, if you guys have listened, obviously we love how terrible he is sometimes. And he plays like a mortuary owner, but for some reason when I texted Nathan, it came out he is the mortuary wiener. I don't know how that happened. So mortuary wiener, yeah, he is. But it's an anthology, obviously, and it actually, spoilers, might be my favorite of the anthologies that I reviewed for Patreon. So definitely worth a watch.
Better than VHS 3 or Viral or whatever one that one is.
Nothing is better than that.
I haven't seen that.
How dare you?
I assume you're being sarcastic, so.
I actually don't mind the VHS movies, but I feel like if I remember correctly,
I've only seen the first one, so I don't know.
I think 2 is the one that's got the fucking weird cult scene that's really good.
Yes.
That scene is incredible.
Rules.
But my shout out. My shout out is a podcast called The Dark Parts. And it is about, like, essentially the two hosts also have a true crime podcast called Going West. I think it's called it's true crime. But they started this new one that's a lot about, like, it's only like 4 or 5 episodes out right now. They do a lot of episodes about like urban legends and stuff like that, but they have a lot of like horror movie tie-ins. So if you like horror movies and like urban legend kind of stuff, I really enjoy that.
All right, what about you, Kit?
The Tampa Bay Rays for eliminating the Houston Astros. Oh, go Tampa Bay.
Sports ball.
It meant a lot to me because I fucking hate the Astros so much. It's
Yeah,
the only
fuck
sports
them.
thing
They
I
suck.
get heated about.
How dare you not support the home team?
Wow, how dare you accuse me of living in Houston?
Look, isn't Texas just Houston and Austin and that's it?
Go Tigers.
Houston and Alex Jones City.
Joe Roganberg.
Oh God, didn't he? Is he moving there still? Or
Oh,
did
yeah.
he? Or woof. All right, Shayne, do you have something you want to shout out?
Yeah. Shout out to my boy Donald Trump. Get out the vote. MAGA, CAG. No, I'm just kidding. Clearly.
Someone
Keep
heard
America
shout out to
great.
my boy Donald Trump and deleted our podcast.
Sorry for costing you patrons.
Yeah, so all of a sudden, like Layla's just like, nope.
Fuck this.
She's like, how dare you? This is my episode.
No, fuck Donald Trump. I hope he dies. I guess my shout out would be this band called Talla, Tallah. And I think they're from Pittsburgh, but they're just like a really ignorant, like metalcore band that is clearly heavily influenced by Korn and Limp Bizkit. And their songs also have like hardcore breakdowns and pig squealing. They just put out
Is it like
their
Crystal Lake?
debut. Yeah, except way stupider. Like, imagine if Crystal Lake like huffed paint thinner and then made an album.
All right.
And also, like the drummer is the what the fuck is that guy's name? Mike Portnoy from Dream Theater's son. So the drummer is really good. Yeah. Anyway, I don't know. If you like really stupid heavy metal, you should check out Matrophagy from Talla, which is out now.
You had me until pig squeals, because that
It's only like it's in like 2 songs. It's not that much. It's mostly just like trying to sound like Korn and Limp Bizkit a whole lot.
that like you posted about Crystal Lake like a while back, and I was like, I'm gonna check this out. They're really good, and it's just like
Crystal Lake was
real stupid. Like where it'll just be like a straight up like hardcore song, and then there's just like all of a sudden like a fucking straight up like new metal like breakdown in it, and I'm like, what's happening? This is awesome. And then they do a cover of "Rollin'" by Limp Bizkit.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
No, for real. Check out if you like Crystal Lake, you'll probably like Talla. It's just like really, it's like dumb as shit,
Yeah.
and it's so fun.
I'm in. Mine is the new Laura Jane Grace album, "Stay Alive." It's really good. Album that she recorded while in quarantine, and it's depressing because quarantine is never gonna end, or it's just technically
For some of us.
technically is over because nobody's paying attention to it anymore. But you know, everything's good.
It's fine.
Everything
Nothing to
is
see here.
awesome. Yeah, right. Move along.
All right, you can, or I guess real quick, Katie and I we're on an episode of Girl That's Scary that will be out when this is out, talking about kids horror. So things like Ernest Scared Stupid and Are You Afraid of the Dark?
And Worst Witch, even though we didn't say Worst Witch.
Yeah. And
we like literally talked for like 2 hours and like did not even exhaust the conversation, so it was super fun. We loved them.
I talk about how I don't like Nightmare Before Christmas, and Kit disowned me.
It's true.
I back Kit on that.
Nathan's off the podcast now.
Yeah. And then Katie and I are on an episode of Contra Zoom where Dakota invited us back on to each pick a classic, a modern, and then a horror comedy movie we like. And then we talk about Manborg for a while.
For a long time.
But yeah, so we were on all those. Check those out. Those are good podcasts. You can join our Patreon at patreon.com/IHopeYouSufferPodcast, where our Lance Henriksen bonus episode's already up, and we just recorded the one that'll go up November 1st on Jean-Claude Van Damme, where Katie watched the wrong movie. We watched Hard Target, Replicant, and Possibly,
Yeah.
Two Alien Uprising.
possibly the best movie Jean-Claude Van Damme has ever done, Alien Uprising.
Wow.
The Russian one, don't watch the Russian one that Katie accidentally watched. So yeah, you could join the Patreon to hear those. Merch at storefrontier.com/IHopeYouSuffer. Leave us ratings and reviews on iTunes and all that stuff. Follow us on Twitter at IHYSPod. Instagram at IHopeYouSuffer Podcast. Follow Katie at Werewolf Face. Commission her to draw your face and stuff.
Yeah, I'm by the time this comes out, I am winding down on spooky portraits, but so thanks to everyone who got a spooky portrait. But I'm starting to go on to like holiday
Turkey portraits.
Yeah.
Yeah, turkey. If you want to look like
You want to look like some sweet
a
potatoes?
reindeer, or if you want to look like a casserole, hit me up.
The gobbledygooker.
Yeah, ooh, yeah, gobbledygook's a good one. If you want to look like some baba ganoush or some gabagool, like whatever. No, I am starting to switch over to things that are specifically like going to be holiday presents. So portraits, ornaments, like I do all kinds of stuff. So just hit me
Everybody,
up.
buy your significant other a portrait of them as Orange Cassidy from Katie.
I will do that. That will be yes.
As Gabagool as Orange Cassidy.
Yeah.
Yes, I will do.
All right, Shayne, do you want to tell people where they can find you if they want to see you yelling about Donald Trump on Twitter and stuff?
Yeah,
See your adorable new son, which is a dog.
that is true. Yeah, my stupid dirt-eating hairy son. Yeah, if you want to follow me on Twitter, my Twitter handle is MetalShayne2000. That's METALSHAYNE 2000. Yeah, I don't know. I post about heavy metal, my dog now, and politics a lot. I don't know. I mean, you can follow me if you want. Whatever.
Yeah, pretty much.
I don't really care,
Twitter's a
but-
nightmare, so
Yeah. I mean, it's better than Facebook.
hey, anything's
True.
better than Facebook.
Not as cool as LinkedIn though.
No, nothing is.
I didn't realize LinkedIn because, like, I was listening to a podcast and somebody was talking about something on LinkedIn that you can, like, actually use it as, like, a social media thing.
Yeah.
Oh, it fucking
dude.
Super
It
sucks.
sounds
Yeah,
it sounds
LinkedIn
terrible.
sucks. It's like all the posts are like that successmanship bullshit where it's just like you need to envision your goals so you can meet your KPRs.
It sounds horrible. I'm gonna join it.
Yeah, it's terrible.
All right, next week, Leprechaun 5 in the Hood. Possibly have guests. I'm still trying to work that out. If schedules will link up.
Is it the Leprechaun?
Yeah, Warwick Davis is coming on.
That's what you said last time.
Look, he'll be here at some point.
Okay.
I'm gonna keep asking until it happens.
Apparently, I read something that, like, people were asking him why he didn't do Leprechaun Returns, and he said it was because he had a kid and he doesn't think you should be making horror movies once you have a family. So,
No, cop
Okay.
get
out.
the fuck out of here, Warwick. Go back to making
Unbelievable.
garbage like Star Wars and Harry Potter. Yeah, watch Leprechaun 5 in the Hood. Katie's gonna hate it.
I think probably. We'll see.
All right, Shayne, thanks for jumping on with us. Talk about a movie
Hey, no
that
problem.
doesn't have the word demon in the title.
Yeah.
What about, why isn't there like a Leprechaun Goes to Hell? Is that a thing?
Soon.
I mean,
Well, that's what
it's
that's what the third sequel was supposed to be, or whatever. Remember, he was supposed to, like, take that one dude to hell with him at the end of, like, the trial.
Oh, the trial, yeah.
He got ripped off.
Court procedural in hell. Yeah, we sure
We
did.
didn't get that, and we didn't get Candyman versus Leprechaun.
Oh my god! I heard that. I listened to that. That was. I can't remember what episode that was on where you guys were talking about that. But that is just fucking. That is just trash.
Just tone deaf as hell.
What if-
Thank
yeah,
God
what if-
Tony Todd was just like, what? No. Like Tony Todd being like, I died as a slave and had my hand cut off and blah, blah, blah. Leprechaun's just making rhymes about it the whole time. That'd have been real bad.
I mean, like, if you want to see the tone of what it probably would have been, I mean, you're about to watch Leprechaun in the Hood,
Yeah,
which is just,
right.
like, very, very racist.
Yeah. Oh, man. I haven't watched In the Hood in, at least 2 years, so I'm not looking forward to it. I just remember Ice-T in it, and I remember that's, like, a flute is, like, the thing. Like, a gold flute is, like, the prize.
Yeah. The lore changes again. It's worth watching for the title sequence, or the end credit sequence, which is like Warwick Davis rapping about being a leprechaun.
I knew he fucking rapped in it. Like I was like, I made a joke in one of the previous episodes about him rapping, and I was like, I swear he raps in one of the Hood movies. Like, there's no way he couldn't.
Oh, it's bad.
Oh man, I'm playing that under the entire episode we record. All right. Thanks again, Shayne.
Hey, no problem.
I am starving, and
You
I
got
know
it,
Kid
buddy.
is too, so we are gonna go eat. All right. I hope you suffer, but why?
Leprechaun.
Toodles.
There you have it.
Lights out, girl radio.
Jesus.
Is this what you expected? The total of your wants and the freedom of motion, always leaving behind or gone. Sleeping in a stranger's bed. What strange dreams have we shared? Are you caught adrift? Lost yourself to nowhere. If I could be anything but me, if I could be anything but me, if I could be anything but me, I would be you. I would be you. On the Mass Pike, lost in conversation. What's the radio playing? How long can you keep your nerve? Feel the distance collapse. I know the in-between. Are you held in the grip? Lost somewhere in the scene? If I could be anything but me, if I could be anything but me, if I could be anything but me, I would be you. I would be you. I would be you. I would be you.